Welcome to Real Conversations. I'm Jack.
And I'm Sarah. Today's episode is one we've genuinely been looking forward to for a long time.
We're focusing on just 3 words today. 3. But here's the thing. These 3 words come up in almost every conversation a native English speaker has. And yet, they're among the most commonly misused words we hear from learners every single day.
We're talking about been, be, and being. By the time this episode is over, you'll know exactly when to use each one. Naturally, confidently, without having to stop and think.
Let's dive straight in. But first, a quick check. Have you ever said something like, I am working here since 2 years, or she is being tired, or he should been more careful?
If any of those sounded familiar, don't worry at all. That's exactly what we're here to fix today. And we're going to fix it for good.
Sarah, I want you to tell the story. The interview story.
Oh, that one. Okay. A few years ago, I had a job interview. My dream job. The kind you prepare for weeks in advance.
Weeks?
Weeks! My outfit was ready. My answers were rehearsed. I had done everything right. And then the interviewer leaned forward and asked me a very simple question. Have you been working in this field long?
Simple question.
Completely simple. And I said, I still cringe thinking about it. Yes, I am been working for 5 years.
Oh no.
She picked up her pen and wrote something on her notepad. 3 days later, I got the email. We regret to inform you, I didn't get the job. And I genuinely believe that one grammatical mistake, I am been working instead of I have been working, played a role in that.
That's such a powerful story because it shows that grammar isn't just an academic thing. It affects how people perceive us, how professional we sound, how confident we come across.
Exactly. And that experience is a big part of why we teach the way we do. We want to make sure what happened to me never happens to you. So let's break this down properly.
Word number 1. Been. Spelled B-E-E-N. Simple to spell, but incredibly powerful in conversation.
Here's the best way to think about been. It's a bridge.
A bridge?
Yes, a bridge between the past and the present moment. When you use been, you're saying, something started before now, and it's still connected to right now. It still matters.
Like, I've been learning English for 2 years. That started in the past, and it's still happening today. The bridge connects those 2 moments.
And here's the golden rule. Write this down if you can. Been always comes after have or has. Always. No exceptions.
Have been, has been. Those are your 2 options.
Never am been. Never is been. Never was been. Only have been and has been.
Let's make that feel real with a scene. Imagine it's Monday morning. It's raining outside, as Mondays tend to be.
Always raining on Mondays.
You're sitting in a cafe with a warm coffee, and your closest friend walks in. She looks at you and says, Are you okay? You look exhausted. And you say,
I've been working so hard lately. Feel that sentence for a moment. The tiredness started before this conversation. It's been building, and it's still happening right now. That's been doing its job.
She might also say, I haven't been sleeping well. Past leading directly into the present. Or, I've just been so stressed. Same structure, past connected to now, every single time.
And notice the word lately in those sentences. We'll come back to vocabulary throughout this episode. Lately means recently, close to the present moment. I've been so tired lately means the same as I've been so tired recently.
Let's practice. Repeat these out loud, and we genuinely mean out loud. Speaking activates a different kind of memory than just listening.
I've been learning English for 2 years.
She has been working here since January.
Have you been feeling okay lately?
We've been friends for a long time.
He hasn't been sleeping well.
Beautiful. Now let's go deeper with been. There's a subtle thing that native speakers do with this word that most learners never notice.
When we use been, we're not just talking about duration, how long something lasted. We're talking about relevance. The past is still relevant right now.
For example, I've been thinking about what you said. That implies what you said mattered. I've been carrying it with me. It's still with me now. Let me tell you about my brother Tom. He's 18, and 18 is a dramatic age. Every emotion turned up to maximum volume. Exactly. One evening, he came home from school furious, threw his bag on the floor, slammed into his room. My mother, the calmest person I have ever met, walked in, sat beside him, and said very quietly, "Tom, be patient. Be calm. Everything is going to be okay." 3 times, one short conversation. Be patient. Be calm. Be okay. And that's what be does. It describes a state, a condition, something you are, something you should be, or something that will happen. Be yourself. Be strong. Be honest. Native speakers use these constantly. Now here's the rule that unlocks everything about be. After modal verbs, you always use be. Not been, not being, just be. What are modal verbs? They are should, could, must, will, might, would, can. After any one of those words, the word that follows is be. Listen to how naturally this sounds. You should be more careful. She might be late. He could be right. It will be a great day. You must be so tired. Modal verb, then be. Every single time. There are no exceptions to this rule. Let's put it in context. Imagine you're called into your manager's office on a Monday morning. She looks at you seriously and says, "I need you to be more focused this month. Please be more punctual. I know things can be difficult sometimes, but this will be a very important quarter for us. I believe you can be the best version of yourself on this team." Count how many times be appeared in that short speech. 5 times, and every single one of them followed a modal verb or the verb need, and it sounded completely natural. That is how real spoken English works. Quick vocabulary note. The word punctual. We used it in that scene. Punctual means on time, never late. Please be punctual means please arrive on time. It's a slightly more formal word, but native speakers use it, especially in professional settings. Try slipping it into a sentence today. Now, there's another dimension to be that goes beyond modal verbs. Be also appears when we talk about identity and possibility. To be honest with you, to be fair, to be clear. These phrases open conversations. They signal that something real and direct is coming. Be is also the foundation of so much of how we express our deepest desires and intentions. I want to be a doctor. I'd love to be fluent in 3 languages. I'm trying to be a better person. In all of those cases, be is reaching toward something, a future state, a possibility. That's why we call it the door to what is possible, what is coming. It will be okay. You can be anything. This is going to be something special. Be opens the door to potential. Let's practice. Out loud, please. You should be more confident. It will be a beautiful day tomorrow. She might be at home right now. He can be very funny sometimes. This could be the best decision you ever make. Excellent. Now let's talk about the third word, and this one is my personal favorite. Before we get to word 3, I want to share something with you, because I think it'll help everything land more deeply. Go for it. When I was 16, I was up late watching television. Everyone else was asleep. And there was this character on screen, standing on a huge stage, thousands of people in the audience, cameras everywhere. And he looked directly into the camera and said 3 sentences. What were they? I have been waiting for this moment my whole life. Then, I wanted to be absolutely perfect. And then, Because right now, I am being watched by the entire world. All three words in 3 consecutive sentences. Been, be, being. Past, future, present. And something clicked for me sitting on that couch at 16. I remember thinking, these aren't just grammar words, they're time words. Each one lives in a different moment. Been is the past that led you here. Everything you've experienced, everything you've learned, everything that's brought you to this point. Be is the future you're reaching toward. Your goals, your dreams, what you're moving toward. And being, the third word, is right now, this exact second. And as you listen to this episode, all 3 are true for you at once. You've been learning English. That's your journey. You want to be fluent. That's your dream. And right now, you're being incredibly focused and dedicated. That's you, right now. That's a beautiful way to hold these 3 words. Let's talk about being. Word number 3, being. B-E-I-N-G. Imagine this scene. It's Tuesday afternoon. You're at your desk, working well, getting things done. Your manager walks past, glances at your screen, and smiles. She says, "You're being so productive today." And here's something that most textbooks never explain. Something genuinely important about being.
Being has a kind of superpower. Listen carefully to this difference. If I say, he is rude, what does that mean?
It means he is always rude. That's his character, his permanent personality. That's just who he is.
But if I say, he's being rude, everything changes. Now it means he is behaving rudely right now, in this moment. But maybe not always. Maybe he's having a terrible day. Maybe something difficult happened to him.
Being gives people a second chance. It separates behavior from identity. The grammar itself is kind.
He is lazy. Permanent. That's who he is. He's being lazy. Temporary. Just today. Just right now. That is a huge difference. A compassionate difference.
Here's another important use of being. It appears in passive sentences, sentences where something is happening to something or someone right now.
The road is being repaired. Workers are working on it right now, as we speak. A new hospital is being built. It's under construction at this very moment. The documents are being reviewed. Someone is reading them right now.
The pattern is being/are being/am being. Always present, always happening right now.
And there's something worth noticing about being in emotional conversation, too. When someone is being something toward you, being kind, being supportive, being patient, it acknowledges that you see them right now, in this moment.
You've been so kind to me. That uses been, so it covers a longer period. But you're being so kind right now. That's being, capturing this specific moment of kindness.
The grammar lets you be precise about time in a way that changes the emotional weight of what you're saying.
Let's practice being out loud.
Stop being so hard on yourself.
You're being very brave right now.
The new road is being repaired.
She's being really helpful today.
Why are you being so quiet?
Excellent. Now, vocabulary moment. We used the word productive earlier. Productive means getting a lot of meaningful work done, making good use of your time. When you study English consistently every day, you are being productive, and that absolutely matters. Okay, this is the moment we've been building toward all episode. We're going to have a full, natural conversation using all 3 words, been, be, being, the way they actually appear in real life.
Listen for them as we go. Try to spot each one.
Ready?
Ready. Let's go.
Sarah, how have you been? I've been meaning to call you for weeks.
I know. I've just been so busy. Work has been completely overwhelming lately.
Is everything okay?
It will be fine. But can I tell you something? Something big?
Of course. Tell me.
You know how I've been saying for months that I want to make a change?
Yes, for a long time actually.
I've been unhappy at my job for over a year. I think you knew that.
I had a feeling. What happened?
Last Friday, I resigned.
Are you serious?
Completely serious.
That must have been terrifying.
My hands were shaking when I typed the email, but the moment I sent it, something heavy was being lifted off me, like everything I had been carrying just disappeared.
That's incredible. So what's next? What's going to be your next step?
Honestly, that's still being figured out. But I know what I want. I want to be doing something I genuinely love. I want to be excited to wake up on Monday morning.
That should be everyone's goal.
Exactly. And Jack, my old university professor, said something to me once, and it's been living in my head ever since.
What did she say?
She said, "Stop trying to be perfect. Just be honest. Be curious. Be willing to make mistakes." Because the people who end up succeeding, they're not being the most careful. They're being the most brave.
That's everything.
And I thought, how many years have I been playing it safe? How much time has been lost being afraid?
Too much time.
It's time to be different, to be who I actually want to be.
Sarah, I am so proud of you. This has been one of the bravest things I've ever heard you say. Whatever comes next, it's going to be something amazing.
You've always been the person who believed in me most.
Always. And wherever this goes, I'll be right there cheering for you. Okay, how many did you count? Been, be, being. They were everywhere in that conversation. And here's what I want you to notice. It felt real, didn't it? Like two actual people talking.
That's because it was a real conversation. We weren't drilling grammar, we were telling a story. And that's exactly how your brain